Hello, beautiful, amazing, fantastic world, and you, wonderful, wonderful individual. Today, I would like to speak about rest, renewal, and recuperation. And yeah, I did say rest. For our being, when we become spiritually fatigued, when we are more or less out of steam and fume, if we are going to use that kind of analogy, we have, well, been invited to take a rest. And the perfect time to do take rests are in the weekends. For in the weekends, it is very strong forces in the weekend that helps us heal and recuperate because there is a lot of joy and also a lot of, take a Sunday for example, a lot of calm and harmony in Sunday on Sundays. And when we do connect to that, it is much easier to recuperate and to renew our inner spiritual forces. For when we are spiritually fatigued, our spiritual defenses are not at the strongest, to say the least, and we are easily influenced and affected by certain moods and such. And it is harder to come, well, to a certain harmonious, stable balance. And it is not something that is extreme in any way, but it is something that can be a little annoying if one is biased and personal about it. It is the higher worlds that is saying now it is time for a little rest and holding oneself strong to a certain. It is a consistency, a practical consistency, and being gentle, kind, and soft with oneself while we at the same time objectively observe ourselves. So we hold ourselves both to a standard, but we do not become tyrannical with ourselves. It is important to hold a beautiful balance there, kind of like freedom and sacrifice. Freedom and sacrifice, and in the middle we have creativity, arts, and yeah, create creativity and art is where freedom or science and sacrifice or religion meet, and that is where the human being also is. Now, through the creative arts, in my case, it is communication, speech, and developing my speech and my ability to communicate my inner thoughts and feelings as clear and as understanding as possible. And I've been doing it for a few years, so I do see myself objectively the increase in my capability of communication. And it is very joyous for, first and foremost, language is a beautiful thing. And the more I enhance and expand upon my language, the more fun it becomes to. It is kind of like flowering, but it is not empty words or empty phrases. These are phrases we reflect upon and come to an understanding about and know the deepness of the words and the sentences and the feelings of them. For how we say things, how the tones come out, the tonal shifts, and the way we say them speaks more about what our being is going through in the moment than it would otherwise. For you can hear through a certain sound. Let's say you hear outwards, and you hear an animal. You can hear if that animal is in pain or if that animal is in a healthy state or not. And if we don't, it is about practice. It is about listening. And if you knock with a hammer or knock on a metal bell or something, you can hear it is a metal bell. It is not the easiest way to explain it, but the tones and the sounds is just as important as the sights. For the sounds also vibrates through our whole being, and we do have feelings relating to the sounds. That includes language. Now, of course, as spiritual scientists and esoteric practitioners, we do not touch, and I say this many, many times, we do not touch upon the human being's will. It is the most inner sacred sanctuary of man, and we are not dictators. We do not We do not choose for anyone. We do this for our health. We do this to develop our cultivating our spiritual forces so we can be a servant of humanity. Or not. It is a choice. But the proper way of redemption comes with redeeming and clearing karma. The more karma we clear, the more harmonious and stable and in a certain amount of clarity we are every day, and are able and have the inner strength to be grateful and loving and nurturing to the world. Through rest, we are able to do so continuously. And in the weekend, we are able to come on Monday or Tuesday or what we choose with renewed spiritual forces and also with new vigor and new inspiration. For after a few days of rest, you also gain knowledge and inspiration, you accumulate to a certain point, and then you come back with even more insights and knowledge than you had. And it is not about just accumulating knowledge for knowledge's sake. It is truly to really understand and deepening one's own being as human beings. And that requires both rest and activity. Spiritual activity. Physical activity is not that important per se, but inner spiritual creative activity, aliveness, ennobling of our own inner thoughts and feelings. You are working with your will in your thoughts and feelings. You might not see it because you are the will working there, but you do, your activity. That is what we mean by thoughts fully conscious, feelings dreamy. That means there are more sensations, and if we are going to go down with thoughts, they are more symbolic and such. And will completely asleep too. But that is because we kind of are immersed in our will from day to day. Now, to be able to direct our will in freedom for our own inner being's sake, we work on our thoughts and feelings. When we polish and ennoble, uplift, and clear and harmonize our thoughts and feelings in a, well, moral and grateful sense. For it is all about not becoming insufferable. That is a given. For it is a balance, as always, and this balance is utmost important. For if a pendulum swing, if we are too much to one side, it will swing to the other side. And if we are more preferable to one side than the other, that pendulum swing to the other side would be immensely painful. But if we are in the middle and the pendulum swing just oscillates a little bit from one side to the other, we are able to constantly hold ourselves stable in the middle here, in the human being, in the consciousness, in the conscious, aware, alive, and loving world of the higher worlds. For we are a threefold human being, a fulcrum of the scale. And the arms that are on the side, we balance. We are in the middle, thinking, feeling, and willing, and with our spirit, with our ego, with our I am, with our I do, I see, right? We work upon this over time. And we all bloom at different rates as at different types of flowers do. But we are individual, and to respect and also at the same time encourage and inspire others without forcing. For the word we should use here is should. Should is a feeling of, yeah, you can do that. And it is something we should do if we are to cultivate the certain results we are going to. But if you need to, you have to, you feel that. It's not very fun to hear that. It is not something I am willing to listen to, at least, because they wouldn't know. Should is a beautiful word. Should, and yeah. We encourage. We do not ever try to force anyone, and that neither did the Christ, and neither does the Christ. For we come to him in freedom. We embrace him in freedom. We go to our Redeemer and to the higher worlds in freedom, to find out in open and in a receptive state of being Their inspiring, encouraging and loving, nurturing, moral, lawful and beautiful words that brings us inner life. And through creativity, we bring this whole cosmos to life again, including this earth, all the earth forces, the elemental beings, the higher worlds stretching their beings down into the physical through mineral forces that allows them to become partially visible. And seeing their being in the effects of the physical and coming into the supersensible through it, it requires time and it requires practice and dedication. And also, once you have reached a point where you can, to a high degree, listen with your soul to the higher worlds, you have a non-stop connection to them. You can counsel with them. You can ask them questions and such, and they will be very clear and also at the same time creative and open and awake, alive, moving in their answers. For there are no one answer to a situation. That's one-sidedness, that's dogmatism, that's pragmatism, To be able to see the one truth in many expressions, in many, many, many variety of expressions, and to allow it to be its unique expression despite being one, and not trying to have the one consume every unique expression. Just as the picture, you see. So to not let the sun eat up all the planets. Let Mars be Mars, let Venus be Venus, let the moon be moon, and the earth be earth, and so on and so forth. For once you do, you know this whole reality is one. We have the God at the top, and the many expressions of truth are the hierarchy, more or less. If we would only follow oneness, we would all look the same. We would all follow along on the one stream path of the higher worlds. But we are meant to express the many, many varieties of the divine through individuality and freedom and morality at the same time. For morality comes in freedom. You can choose to, in freedom, be a jerk, an a-hole, or you can choose to be good and kind and nurturing, uplifting. It really is up to us how we utilize this freedom. And if we think that freedom is a green card to be an a-hole, we will also have to take the green card of the consequences of being an a-hole. It is all about holding oneself strong to a certain dignity, human decency. And that is what I will leave you with today, and I will take a weekend break now this weekend. So may you be protected, guided, blessed, and loved by Father, Holy Spirit, Christ, Michael, higher hierarchy, ancient masters of old, ancestors from every incarnation, and may you be safe and sound and provided for with all that you need to survive, live, thrive, being creative, inspirational, truthful, honest, and loving to the world, if you wish, so others can follow if they have the courage to, and if they also wish. We will come to a point where there will be enough of us so that we can actually, stand up to the adversary forces with love, with passive resistance, more or less. For if we use the adversary's forces against them, we become adversaries. You cannot utilize their weapons without being affected yourself. It is impossible. We utilize the higher world's forces, clear thinking and love, compassion, despite all the pain. It is a sacrifice, a sacrificial act, and sometimes one needs to feel the full brunt of it. And the more we do this, the stronger we become in our own inner being able to feel whatever comes, not fleeting into a panic or becoming feverish and wishing to get out of our body, or the other way around, where we completely becomes a block of rock and do not listen to anything or anyone because you do not wish to have in any forces there. You see the picture there too. It is about not taking in everything and not taking in nothing. It's the middle there. It's that balance. And thank you so much. Love you, and thank you all for your support and your endeavors in your individual work and development. And I pray for your benevolent successes and endeavors. And I pray that you will always be guided by the higher worlds. And I love you so much. May warmth, may warmth cover your life and your being and your inner world. And see you next week. Love you. Goodbye.